behind it, which is always quite funny as well when people find out why. But yeah.
That's 100. Just you got to keep the tension. But for me, it was like, mate, I don't think that was good to show my guys. I need to go deeper. I was like, wow. So, but it was so much fun. It wasn't a massive weight. I think it was 120. Because with my back has been a disaster for years. I mean, since I was a kid, and for 2 years I was benching 165 and squatting and deadlifting 125. So my
Oh,
poor
wow.
coach at the time, Rodney Anthony, he couldn't figure it out. So yeah, it was just
Were you injured?
yes. I've got scoliosis. I've got Schroman's disease. I've got a compression at L4, L5. I did a lot of martial arts when I was younger, and that sort of hammered the body. And but it was fun. I mean, I like bench. I've got short arms. I'm meant to be a bench presser. So it's a deadlift. It's like a deadlift's a 3 day process for me. It's
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So yeah, that's is there anything on the show you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm happy to go with whatever you want to
Perfect.
cover.
Cool. So we'll kick it off live, and I'll welcome you to the show, and then I'll just ask you to introduce yourself, and we'll take it from there. Is it Brackford? Am I getting it
Draft.
correct? I mean
Yeah,
Drackford.
draft.
Sorry, not Brackford.
Yeah,
Drackford. Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
one of
this
those surnames that no one ever knows how to spell it or to say
yes,
it.
you should try Ingle. I mean, I get Ingel, Engel, Angle. But unfortunately, one of my favorite things now is if I get an opportunity to go to the East, Hong Kong, and so some of those comps, and then pronounce the names that we did the Asia University Cup. So we had everybody like from Kazakhstan and from all the region, and I slaughtered so many names. It actually became fun part of the competition. So I think if I got
when
people's
I
names right, they'd
when
worry.
I first started out in my career, I was a broadcast journalist doing
Okay.
news shows, and that was all around the time of 9/11, and
Yes.
I
Sure.
had lots and lots of really difficult names to say in the news bulletins, and
Yep.
I just used to go, I'm just going to take a run at it, say it
Yeah.
really quickly, really matter
Yeah.
if it's right or, to be fair, no one's going to know.
You're sort of talking really loud, and you sort of, and then the next person who's exactly. I have we'll go live in a second. I have a radio show as well, and one of the live reads I have to do is for the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra, and I dread them because it's like, okay, Tchaikovsky, I've got. Who the hell are these guys? You know?
They're the names that people probably will know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh boy, I'll try and get through it as quickly as I can. So yeah. All right. Um, oh, crikey. I did actually hit go live. Sorry. We've been live for the last 3 minutes. Hi. Wow. I think I need, I've got my 1978 DJ deck next to me with the sound effects. So we can do a little bit one of those. Okay. So let's get started. Emma Drackford, welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Champions, the powerlifting edition. Clearly, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. I mean, you must be leaving pretty soon. So we
Yeah,
really do
next week
appreciate this. Yeah,
coming over.
we do appreciate the time. We're looking forward to having you over. Have you been to South Africa before?
No, it's always been one
Okay.
of the places that I've always wanted to go. So I'm really looking forward to it. When I got selected, I was really chuffed because it was like looking at the schedule of all the different places that you can go. It's just one of
Yes.
those places that I desperately wanted to get selected for. So yeah, I am really, really pleased.
Well, then we have to do this tradition. That's really cool. That's very, very awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, who is Emma, and then we'll get into the powerlifting journey and story and talk about this awesome sport.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a sports nutritionist. That's my work, which is obviously quite helpful for doing the sport that I do. I wasn't always a sports nutritionist. I
Mm,
actually used to work in communications for a lot of my career, going from like a press officer, journalist to start with press
sure.
officer, right up to director of communications, and then I retrained and changed
Hmm.
over to be a sports nutritionist. Um, I haven't always done sport. That's probably one of the biggest things that
Hmm.
people are not aware of. And that's mainly because I had major knee problems right from being a kid, where my
Okay.
knee used to lock when it went down past right angles. So no one really knew what it was when I was a kid, and they used to lock and they couldn't release it. It would take six
Mm,
hours in a hospital to release. And then I
sure.
finally had a consultant work out what was going on around 9 years ago,
Hmm.
and he did 3 operations to fix it. And then I started powerlifting basically, and I haven't looked back. So powerlifting is quite important to me for that reason, just because I could
Mm,
never do anything as a kid at all, and now I've started doing a sport and I'm
sure.
quite good at it. And
Getting
yeah,
pretty good at it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think you've kind of got like a medal or two around.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You've got onto the podium, I think, once or twice. I mean,
yeah,
but
I
yeah,
have.
yeah. Oh, that's phenomenal. So I think that's a very important point just to touch on. Not being able to exercise or train or move as a kid can really have a big effect on us because, a lot of that's playing and interacting and connections and
Yeah.
relationships. Yeah. Could we chat a little bit about that? What was it like?
Well, I just kind of was never really able to do it. Watching everybody from the sidelines.
Yeah.
When I got into high school, it was okay, go and do some work experience
Mm,
somewhere rather than sitting on the sidelines watching everybody. So I went off to do work experience as a physiotherapist, actually, to start with, what I thought I wanted to be when I grew up. And then I
to
realized
help
that
other
I
people with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then I realised that I passed out whenever I saw a broken bone, blood, all of it. So I was like, no, that's not for me. Definitely not for me.
Right.
I
I'm
ended up going back to
Oh,
people
sorry
post
to
sport.
interrupt. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to share something, get myself into trouble. Dr. Yaniv Lakob, who's going to be the competition doctor, he always where he's not good with blood either. But we'll be fine. We'll be
Not just
fine. But if you meet
me.
him, please tease him about this. Okay.
Well, hopefully I won't meet him, because that
No,
might
no. I
mean
mean,
that there's
just go
something.
over and say hello. I mean, like hi, socially. So yeah. Okay, so you decided no physio because fainting in front of client patients is not a good thing.
Not a great thing, is it?
Mm-mm. Okay, cool. So then, from the physio journey into, um, uh, sorry, I've lost my train of thought because we're also chatting about the kid stuff and the inability to play. The reason I felt it was important to talk about is I had that as a kid. So with scoliosis, with Sherman's disease in my back, and not during phys ed, I'm the guy sitting on a chair on the stage and everyone else is having fun. No school sports, no rugby, no nothing, because if I did anything too much with my back, it would lock up. I'd be in a lot of pain, couldn't sit, couldn't stand. And it's not and then powerlifting. Well, I mean, for me, martial arts and then powerlifting, but powerlifting has dealt with all the damage from martial arts over the years. So how important is moving now, and what are the gifts that powerlifting has given you? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'll always think that moving's so important. I think it's just
mm,
because I was never allowed to do it
yeah,
previously. But powerlifting itself, wow, that gives me so much. So it's working on something that you couldn't do before, and that's
mm-hmm,
something that obviously I've not been able to do sport at all as I was a kid was so
mm-hmm,
important to me now, and that's probably why I'm so into powerlifting. People sort of
yeah,
question why all the time, but
mm,
that is the reason why for me, because I wasn't able to do anything. The same with squats. Squats are my absolute favourite lift, and people always say, well, "Why? Why is the squat
yeah, yeah,
one that you focus on so much?" And that's mainly because I wasn't ever able to. I didn't have strength in my legs because I wasn't doing sport. And
mm-mm,
when my knee used to lock, it was when I went down past right angles. So being able to squat, you obviously have to go
mm-hmm,
down past right angle to be able to do it properly. And so there's definitely something there for
sure.
me with it. But yeah, it's hugely important. I mean, it gives me control. It makes me focus on something that I was never able to do previously.
I think every time you get to depth, it's a reward, and it's like an indicator of self-love and self-worth that you've put in this effort, you've put in this time. It's absolutely
Yeah.
phenomenal. What was your first powerlifting competition like? When did that happen?
So it was a local one in Gosport. That's my
Mm,
local division here, South Mids. And yeah, that was really good. I went with a coach that I had at the time. Really enjoyed it. Liked the spirit, the community that was around, and how supportive everybody was. I mean, there's a few people in the South Mids division, Ellie Steele and Dean
mm,
Bowring, that are just incredible. So supportive of what you're doing, and just hearing people sort of cheer you on. It was like I didn't know whether I was going to enjoy competing or not, but that to me definitely nailed the everything sort of together. And I was like, yeah, I
hmm.
definitely want to do more of those.
Oh, brilliant! We've heard such wonderful descriptions and stories on this series about powerlifting and about the community. One of the ones that's resonated really strongly with me is the description of the sport is you and the audience versus the weight. And
Yeah.
I think it's you and the audience and your team and your competitors and everyone versus the weight, and that makes it very, very special. So, when did you start to realize, hang on a second, I'm pretty good at this? I could go quite far.
I guess it was when I went over to the gym where I train now, and they did sort of some introductory videos to try and
Hmm.
put what people's goals were so that they could promote themselves. And I said in that interview, my goal, I want to be on the GB team.
Hmm.
And they were just like, "Oh, no pressure." And then within 3 years, I got on the Commonwealth team and then the world team, sort of very shortly after that. So, yeah, for me, it was just a goal with trying to achieve more, and it kind of happened for me within about 3 years of starting competing, which is amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. And you've had some pretty wonderful milestones along the way, sort of the GB team to here. Can we chat about some of those? What are the ones that,
Yeah.
that stick out for you and mean a lot to you?
Well, obviously, the first time I was selected
Hmm.
for Commonwealth in 2019 over in Canada, we were competing. That was the big moment for me, but more so because when I was over there, I didn't know how it all worked, and Paul Marsh, who was the head
Mm,
coach at the time, so supportive, making sure that everything was okay. And obviously, he's with us again this time.
yeah.
Um, yeah, he's just incredible. He was like, well, just keep your headphones on, have fun, eat some sweets, make sure you're like focused on yourself. He didn't tell me any of the weights that he was putting on the bar. He was
Hmm.
like, just go and lift it. So I never knew what I was lifting the whole time, and that actually really helped at that time because if there
Hmm.
was a big lift on the bar that I hadn't done before, that could be something that would stop me. I was just not thinking that I could do it.
Right.
Um, and at that point, I was just because it was my first competition, I just went with everything that he was saying, and yeah, it was incredible. I ended up coming second in that competition, so at my first international, it was quite a nice way to sort of ease myself into the international platform.
That awesome. How chuffed was Paul?
Yeah, very very chuffed, I think. And the thing that stood out for me on that competition was the last deadlift. Like he put a weight in that I'd never done before,
Hmm.
and I didn't do it. But he explained to me afterwards that he put it in because it was so close between me and the girl that came second that if
Mm.
I'd missed it and she'd had to put hers up and she missed it, I'd have got gold. And as it happened, she ended up having to do a 17.5 kilo pull on her extra pull on her third
Sure.
lift and somehow pulled it out of the bag.
She got
So
it.
she
Yeah.
came first.
But
So it was an eye opener for me. I had no idea how the international competitions worked, and
right.
yeah, I think that's always going to stick in my mind.
Sure. And but you also feel it for the other athletes as well. 17 and a half extra
Yeah,
kilos. You're like, okay, cool. I'm happy with that. I'll take it. Sort of any other special
yeah.
moments that stick out for you?
Uh, all of them. I don't know that there's any one that
Brilliant.
I can really sort of
Mm.
say sticks out more than the others, but
I'm a
obviously
bully with my question. Sorry, though.
obviously getting onto the GB team was
Yeah.
huge for me. Going out, I went to Canada again with that one, and then to Mongolia last year. That was
Yeah.
probably quite a trip. Everyone said to me, "Oh, why are you going to Mongolia?" And I was like, "Well, why wouldn't I want to go to
To go to
Mongolia? I'm
absolutely.
being given the opportunity to go somewhere to compete in a sport that I love, to somewhere that I'd probably never go to again or ever think of going to.
Mm.
that's definitely one. We had a bit of a journey out there, got stuck in Istanbul for 3 days, but that's a
Sure.
different story.
Okay. What was that, on the way out or the way back?
On the way out, it was probably the most difficult journey that we've
Wow.
ever had doing a sport. But yeah,
Yeah.
so best laid plans didn't happen with that one. I was meant to be out there a good 5 days before because of the altitude and things. But yeah,
Mm. Sure. But it's these are the things that I love about the sport. And chatting to Richard from the Commonwealth yesterday, just about, like, they want to take the sport to smaller places. They want to go, like, for the Commonwealth events far away. And it's the fact, like, Mongolia is considered, it's included, it's part and parcel of it. Because the Mongolians are absolutely wonderful. They are phenomenal. I love it. Just the energies that they bring is brilliant. I do remember one of the Mongolian lifters at World Bench last year he had a bit of a sore back, so Dr. Lakob had to put some hot rub on him, but he just stripped all of his kit off in the arena. So it was like, no, 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 no. It's not like lift your shirt and show me where it's sore. He was like, yeah, doc. It's like, okay, that's it. So that was sort of my first encounter with the Mongolian team, but it's been wonderful to spend time with them at a couple of the competitions. They're lovely, lovely guys. Sure. On this point, is there anywhere that you'd love to go? I mean, you're coming out to South Africa now, and we know we are going to be your favorite. Absolutely.
absolutely,
And
definitely.
absolutely. For sure. Is there anywhere sort of in the world that you'd love to be able to compete at?
Um, Probably all the places that I haven't been. I mean, there's competitions coming up, I
Mm,
think, on the schedule. Nevada in a couple of years' time, that would be
yeah.
amazing. I have actually been to Nevada, but yeah, that would still be amazing to go back there.
Awesome.
Um, Japan would be really good.
Hmm.
All of those kind of places. Even European competitions. Like I haven't actually done European Championships. I've done a lot of Europe in my own travels, but
Hmm.
being able to go there would be amazing as
And
well.
compete. It'll be really cool, and it's a lot of fun coming and then reconnecting with people as well. So I
Yeah.
think the we've had a lot of the GB guys out last year for bench. I mean, that's where I met Craig and Bex and all of the rest of the team, and it's just some really amazing guys. Love the British team, love the Canadian, just love everybody. I mean, it's a very, very special sport. What are your expectations for South Africa? We can chat in terms of the competition or in terms of the venue or both, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not getting into trouble with any coaches here. Okay. All right. I
Uh,
haven't received it. I haven't received a DM yet, and I'm going to keep it that way.
I've obviously got some goals for
Yep.
South Africa. Obviously, it just all depends on what happens on the day and
Yep.
how traffic affects. I mean, I'm quite fortunate. I don't have to cut weight or anything, so
Hmm.
I should have a fairly consistent ability to do similar to what I'm doing in training. That's always been the case for me. I guess for me, one of the main goals would be maybe breaking a record,
Yeah.
maybe breaking a common record. I've got a couple of
Or
those
two.
in mind.
Mm.
Yeah,
Or
or
two.
two, or,
Or two.
or three.
Or
No,
three. Absolutely.
I
100%. Yeah.
no, there's one that I would like, and that's mainly because when I competed last for Commonwealths in Canada, I
Mm.
attempted the Commonwealth squat record, and I just missed it on depth, so I did the squat, but it was just very slightly
Hmm.
too shallow, didn't go quite deep enough, and that's always been something that I've now sort of had. Well, if you're going to go for something, you've really got to get
Go
down
for it.
deep, make sure
Yep.
you
Get
can
deep.
do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Um, but in terms of the actual venue, yeah, it just looks incredible. Just to see the whole of Sun City and just
Yeah.
trying to. It's kind of like when I went to Las Vegas a few times in my own personal sort of travels, and people always used to say to me with Las Vegas that you can tell someone what it's like,
Hmm.
but you won't know what it's like until you get there. And I kind of get the same feeling about Sun City.
Yeah. Well, I thought with Vegas you weren't supposed to tell anyone anything because what happens stays there.
All behind closed doors, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. So,
But
yeah, yeah. Sorry. Um,
but things like the safari and things, that's what I'd really like to do when I'm
to
out
do.
there. So
Okay.
yeah.
So what makes Sun City so special, and I haven't experienced, like, and going to places like Helsingborg in Sweden and that lovely massive venue. It was great, but Sun City, I think, is relatively unique in the world, and I know we're looking at competitions here next year in Cape Town. Um, and Cape Town's magnificent, but Sun City, what I love about it is it's almost like shut your mind off resort. So you don't have to worry about going in. Everything is right there and it's organized. Even the safaris in the Pilansberg, which has the big five, it's got everything that you need. You book it at the hotel, and they pick you up, and that's it. So it's a lot of walk. You can do a lot of walking there if you enjoy it. There's shuttles all over the place. The venue is right by the hotels. I shared this on one of the other episodes because I got out of the shower and I was having a night. I got a little bit of time. I went last year to do the podcast and start the series, chatting to the athletes and the coaches, and then to volunteer, because at that stage I was a national ref, but I could TC, and TC at an international was like the greatest thing in the world. Stepped out of the shower, got a phone call. Where are you? You TC for the session. And like, no one had told me. So I had to get dressed and run to the venue, and I made it within 7 minutes. So
Wow.
that gives you the idea of how close it is. But you've got swimming pools at each of the hotels, which are magnificent. The breakfasts are out of this world. Please give yourself an extra 30 minutes for breakfast, whatever your normal time is. Like, if you're planning half an hour for breakfast, just go for an hour. There's the fruit, the meat, the cheese, the pancakes, the waffles. It's really good. And it's a lot of fun. So it's a really great opportunity to relax. If you want to take a little bit of time for yourself, go for a walk through some of the gardens. It's unique and it's really special. So I'm very chuffed. Been waiting for 2 weeks to get someone from Sun City to come and talk to us, but I'll have to do the marketing myself. I think that it opened in 1976 or 78, and I've been going there when I was a kid. So it's something that's very special. It's awesome. Staff is awesome. You know, excuse me, Emma, if you could like just talk to the staff, tell them where you're from, ask them where they're from. We've got 11 official languages in South Africa, a lot of different tribes. The guys love to share their stories as to where they come. It's an absolute blast, and the food is epic. Okay, that's my Sun City sales pitch. So, starting a little bit later in the sport, I think it's something that's really special and it's close to my heart as well. And I was not a great sportsman ever. Why? What would you say to someone that hasn't been sporty about powerlifting, and what would make it so special?
Just give it a go.
Mm.
You to start with, you're only ever competing against yourself, which can make sport seem a lot more approachable and enjoyable, because some people really, really get worked up about competing against others. So
Mm.
I mean, when you go into your first competition, you're only ever setting the bar for yourself. And then the next one, you're trying to improve on what you've done before. So don't ever think that you can't do something just because you've not done it previously. I mean, that I'm a
Sure.
prime example of that.
Hmm.
And luckily, I'm quite short and I've got small limbs, and that probably helps. But it doesn't really matter for anyone. If you want to try something, it's a great sport to try. And I think that's why the sport's grown so much in the last few years, especially in the
Hmm.
masters category as well.
Mm.
Um, for women especially, doing something like that is amazing. I've had lots of clients of my own come in and ask about how I got into it, thinking that I'd always done the sport and started as a kid. And I was like, no, I've been maybe competing since 2017, I think was my first competition. So it's not that long, it's about 7 years.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. So I was chatting just before you to Luke Henry and young Northern Ireland lifter, and we you talking about the Masters. I think I've never seen a young man so proud when he was talking about finally getting his dad into a competition, and his dad at the age of 60 squatting 150 kilos. And I think it's like so special and can really become a family thing or a community thing. It's like, and the community is wonderful. So, what is so special about our powerlifting community for you? What are the things that stand out?
it's the support, to be fair.
Mm.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're competing against someone or if it's just people that are watching. Like, everybody supports everybody. I've been in competitions where like you're like come second and somebody's come
Mm.
first or come fourth, and everybody's just there. They're so supportive about what you've done and congratulating you about the lifts that you've done well, and even the lifts that haven't gone very well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Cheering, the cheering as well. Like even from the first competition I did at South Mids Divisional, it was just the support that came through on that one for me, and I was just like, yeah, this is definitely the sport for me because of that. I mean, the community is amazing.
Sure.
You can't you go to a competition, no one knows you,
Yeah.
and everyone's screaming your name to help you to complete your lifts. So I
To
mean, there's
get
not
it.
many people that do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Within your practice, have you sort of moved some of your clients into the sport, encouraged them to get involved, forced them
There's a
to
couple.
involve? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple that are training at the gym where I do a lot of my nutrition work who have just started doing the three lifts. I don't know whether they will compete, but they're certainly
Mm,
talking about it. But it's just
okay.
one of those to kind of edge them and answer questions that they have about it. Like the first question I got asked was, well, what would somebody of my age be expected to be able to lift? And I
Mm-mm.
was like, well, it doesn't matter. If it's your first competition, you can just go and lift the bar. You're
Yeah.
absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Just try it. If you like doing the lifts in the gym, go and try a competition. If you like the competition, take it further. If you don't, then but you still enjoy the lifts, you can still do it without competing. Um, so yeah, I think there will be some people, and that they are actually all older ladies as
Hmm.
well, which is quite nice
They're
to see.
brilliant. Absolutely. So, how valuable, how important is powerlifting in body image and developing a healthy relationship with our body?
Yeah, I think it's really important for two reasons. Obviously, from the nutrition
Yeah.
perspective, a lot
Building
of
a healthy relationship with food.
a lot of girls in particular
Yeah.
are scared of eating, but you need to eat to powerlift. And if you're
Mm.
not, then you probably won't get as far as what you could do if you weren't doing that. So to try and get people to understand around the carbs that you need, not all
Hmm.
carbs are bad carbs. People think they
Hmm.
are. To put together sort of sports packages in terms of simple carbs for people. That's always really interesting. I get quite a lot of competitors now that use me as their sports
Hmm.
nutritionist, and talking to them about the types of food that they'll want on actual game day is quite interesting because they're all like, well, that's all bad food. And I was like, well, there's not really good
There's
food
no
or
better.
bad food.
Yeah.
It's,
Sorry.
it's just food, it's just energy, but you're using it for different purposes, and you
Hmm.
don't want to have lots and lots of fiber in your tummy or low carbs when you're trying to lift and
Yeah.
your maximum force. You're going to come into problems with that.
Yeah.
And then also try and get people to understand that you need to train your tummy as well. I mean, when you're
Hmm.
competing, the competition might last 4 hours, so it might go longer, depending on what kind of competition it
Yeah.
is and how many people are competing. So if you're trying to have balanced meals, lots of fiber, some fats in there, as well as sort of the food that you need to be able to compete, you've got to be able to train your tummy to cope with
Hmm.
that as well.
Mm.
And if you don't, or try something new on the day, or have done a weight cut and not really
Oh.
thought about
Mm.
the strategy with it, that's going to be a disaster for you. You're
Yeah.
not ever going to be at your very best.
I think it's such an important point because also you're coming maybe from a weight, you're having to restrict water and food leading up to your weigh-in, maybe beyond what you're used to at all. It's like you train your body, but no one really talks about training your tummy. That's such an incredible point.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Mm.
one of the things that I found the most difficult when I first started powerlifting was trying to make sure that I got enough fuel in before a
Hmm.
competition after weigh-in. And obviously, you can't really
Mm.
tell what the weigh-in's going to be like. You might only end up with half an hour after you've done a
Yeah.
kit check weigh-in to be able to warm up and get out on the platform. Plus, you've got to eat and drink before then
Mm.
to make sure that you're fueled. So practicing different ways of doing that is always a really good thing. And if you know that you're water cutting into it,
Hmm.
that you have to pay a little bit more attention to what you're doing. So to practice before a competition, it is quite an important thing to do. The same as if your weight is very close, if you're going to have trouble weighing in and you want to know what you can do to get your weight there by a certain time, like say you got up in the morning at
Hmm.
half over where you are and you've not got to weigh in for about 4 hours, that's not the end of the world if you've practiced how much more water you'll lose out of your body just by going to the toilet, for example.
Yes.
All of those things and different tactics that you can use. And so trying to get that stress out for people is quite important as well. But practicing that is going to be the way to do it so that they actually know, so they've got the confidence about it as well.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to, would you share your details with us where people can get in touch, and we'll put it
Yeah,
up on the stream as well, because it is. I mean, I remember seeing, particularly sort of maybe 10 years ago in powerlifting, where the guys were eating their McDonald's straight after weigh-in and big milkshakes, and I'm just thinking, yeah, it's not going to go well for you in the deadlifts. You're going to get that. It's not going to work for you. Also you're dehydrating yourself, and it's not going to go well. And it just nutrition is very neglected in terms of how people prepare for their competition. And I again love the term "train your tummy." You're training your body. You got to train your tummy. I was chatting to Dr. Nigel Plummer yesterday, as a microbiologist, about gut health, gut biome, probiotics, working with making sure that everything in there is okay in terms of your immunity, your immune system, and your energy levels. So you have to manage how you're going to eat. And again, for us, we don't know. I think Canada was quite a good example of that. The Commonwealth, you were lifting very late. There were certain sessions, I think it was starting at 11 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. So,
Commonwealths were, but the first Commonwealths was actually a bit of a nightmare with the
yeah.
weigh-ins. I was meant to be weighing in, I think about 11 o'clock in the morning,
Mm,
and I went down to check the weigh-in schedule just before I went to bed, and they'd changed the weigh-in times. So I was then weighing in at 6 o'clock in the morning and competing at 8. And I messaged Paul, the coach, and I was like, "Were you aware of this?" And he was like, "No, no one's told us
mm,
anything."
mm.
Um, so that obviously I was fine with my weight, but a lot of people were trying to time their water cuts,
Yeah.
making weight as a result of that. And so that's something that I think people always need to take into consideration when they're doing an international competition anyway, that times can change. You never get the final schedule till the final technical meetings happened, but
Yep.
even after that, you might still
Stuff
get a slight
happens.
change time.
Yeah.
Things happen. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
But yeah, some people were competing really late. And if you're a late competitor, that's going to have a big impact as well. It's like,
mm,
what do you do? Do you not eat all day? Are you going to weigh how much you're drinking? Because you're going to need to
mm,
drink something.
mm,
Where is
mm.
your weight to allow that to happen? How much food can you eat and still make weight? So yeah, there's lots of things for people to consider with all of those kind of things.
Yeah. Also, what what you're eating. Are you spiking your blood sugar? Are you going to have a crash? Hell, hell. That's why I like the 105s. It's a great place to be. 120s looking really good as well. Yeah. I see it. I see it as a challenge. That's, got to compete in every division. Yeah, I might not be winning, but at least I've competed in more divisions than people. That's fine. So they
I'm not sure I could eat enough food to get up to the
to
120s.
organize.
from
Uh,
57.
yeah, I believe in you. No, yeah, but where you're from, we'll just call it in pounds. That's fine. So, working with your clients, if I can ask, and talking about training your tummy, it's so important in terms of understanding for me, and like I've seen the effect. I know how, because of my spastic colon and all of the stuff I grew up with, um, understanding what food makes me feel how, and knowing that this is going to bloat me, this is going to, and sometimes it's like I want that piece of cheesecake or I want that piece of carrot cake, and I'm going to take my time to eat it and enjoy it, and I understand the consequences. I'll be bloated the next day. I'm not going to be, I have a little bit of brain fog. I'm not going to feel fantastic. For the athletes who do learn to train their tummies, how valuable has that been in terms of understanding the impact that food has on their bodies and then their relationship with food?
Hugely. I mean,
Mm,
first in terms of how they're feeling. So you talk about brain fog. A lot of
mm,
people don't realise that if you're not balancing food when you're eating your normal meals, no matter whether it's junk food or
mm.
food that you've cooked yourself, sort of more nutritious food, you can get big blood sugar spikes, which then you get a big blood sugar drop, which can
Yeah.
then make you brain foggy, tired, low energy levels, compared to
Also,
if you have some.
for me, shaking to the point I have to sit
Yeah,
down and get
yeah,
some
where it
get some
feels like
sweets
you're going
in.
to
Yeah.
pass out.
Yeah.
That's it. So when that happens, you need something to bring your blood sugar levels back up
Mm,
again, which
mm,
is then going to start the chain again, unless you can stabilize it as soon as they've come up. So when people get that part sorted just in their normal
mm,
day-to-day life, not even just competitions, just day-to-day life, you'll find that their performance starts to improve
mm,
because they've got better energy. So blood sugars don't just affect you on the day. Depending on what you're doing, the cumulative effect can have an impact across the week. So if you
mm,
have spiked your blood sugar levels uncontrollably for one day and had sort of that response, the next day you're going to feel rubbish. If you
yeah.
do that again, not sure what's caused it, next day you're going to feel rubbish. So you're going to get that cumulative effect, which
Mm,
at some point is going to have an impact on your performance.
yeah.
So getting that right to start with, for most people, starts to have an impact on how they're training, how they're
Mm,
performing.
mm,
And then you can start looking at the actual food that someone's going to eat around their training. And that's really important because obviously you want to be able to test things during training to see how your body's responding to
mm,
them, as well as just in a competition. But in a competition, obviously, you got a slightly different situation because, yes, you, especially powerlifting, you might bloat because of the amount of carbs that you want to take in
mm,
to keep you energized across the 4 6 hours, however long it's going to be that you're
mm,
going to be on that platform, which can then cause people to not feel very good as well. So it's having different food options available so that you can still get the fuel
mm,
that you need, lots in your tummy. It's not just a case of like putting loads of sweets in, which
yeah.
is something that you see all the time. I mean, that can help some people. And again,
Mm,
there's different factors that can have an impact, like blood sugar levels, blood
mm,
pressure, all of those things.
mm,
But having different options for you to be able to take in, depending on how you're feeling, is the sort of thing that people really need to think about to start
mm,
with. And everybody's slightly individual. Everybody's body
mm,
works a little bit
mm,
differently. There are some general principles that apply, but working one on one with someone when you're trying to work out what's going to be the best thing for them, looking at how they've performed, how they're feeling, whether they're bloated, all of those kind of things is how you actually start to put together a proper competition game plan,
mm,
which then take into their training and stick with that while they're training. And again, something might change over a period of time where you have to slip something else in or take something out again. But in general, if you've got that as a good basic starting point, then you can just continue with that and just make small tweaks rather than not really thinking about it, which is what I normally see people start off doing.
yeah. And it's the 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 testing is vital. So getting in as many competitions as you can. It's one of the things that drives me mad with new lifters, where they're like, "Oh no, I'll compete when I can win." And no, no, you need time on the platform. You need to test the food. You need to test what you're eating,
Yeah.
and then have that carry through. In so I've been sober for nearly 18 years. I think next month will be 18 years. And one of the things that stuck with me in early recovery is that we were taught that how you eat is one of the biggest indicators of self love. And it's also one of the biggest indicators of whether you are at risk for potential relapse. So if you're not sitting down, we taught you sit down and you eat every meal with a plate, with cutlery, with a glass for your water, with a serviette, like a proper meal. Don't eat rushing, don't eat standing up, don't eat on your way out of the door. It's an indicator that you're not valuing yourself.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, definitely. And by doing that, you'll also feel when you're full, feel the
Yeah,
effects of the food, feel whether something's actually working for you in terms of what it is that you're eating. So yeah, that's a really good starting place for people as well.
100, absolutely. And on that point, but a little bit skewed maybe, straight out of the venue, you turn left. One of the best pizza places I've ever been to at Sun City.
Amazing.
Great pizzas and burgers. So I just thought of that just popped into my head as well. So
That's one to go to
yeah.
then. Maybe the night before the competition, but
But no, no, not before the competition, after the competition. So like, when are you arriving? When are you lifting?
I lift on the 8th, and
Okay,
I arrive on the 3rd.
that's
Yeah.
Wednesday.
It's a Tuesday.
So it is a Tuesday. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then how long are you in Sun City for?
I'm there for 12 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
Brilliant. So
there's a good 6 days before, and I'll have another sort of six at the end of
six
it.
after. Oh, excellent. We've had the Scottish team claiming that they are going to be the loudest in support. We've also had the Northern Irish and the Irish. How does Team GB feel about these statements?
Well, I think there's quite a lot of us coming over between the
Yeah,
people that are competing for England and people
I mean,
that are
screaming for
competing
England, yeah.
for
I'm
odds.
still
Yeah,
trying to
because
figure
obviously
you guys out, by the way. Just it's very
the
confusing.
two competitions that are happening.
Yeah,
So we've got two teams, but we've got a
yeah.
huge amount of leaders. So I think we'll be the loudest actually.
Okay, excellent. All right, Ireland, Scotland, are you listening? We need some noise, please. We're going to be doing the live streaming. We're streaming the Commonwealth on this channel, and then we're streaming Masters and some of the Commonwealth stuff on our secondary channel. We've invested really heavily in great audio equipment, but I am expecting a little bit of distortion, please, from the audience cheering in the back. We want to hear the guys, and it's such a love. It's a big venue, so you're gonna have to work hard to make some noise.
I don't think that will be any problem at all.
I have no doubt. I think that's something also that's very special for me for the sport with the sport is you come down. We sort of I worked every day. Either I think I TC'd every day, and then on the off sessions I was running the podcast. But everybody's there to support their team, and that they might take a couple of hours in the afternoon at the pool. For you guys in the morning because it was 18 degrees. You're like out there sweating. The Canadians were dying in the heat. It was terrible. Yeah. Now it's going to be up to the 30s. It's going to be really hot. So, but just like
Is
the
it
support, the
air
comment.
conditioned?
Pardon? Oh, sorry.
Is it air conditioned?
Yeah. The
Is there
hall
good air?
is the hall is aircon. So I love this venue. So just to chat about it quickly, 100 meters by 50 meters. You've got, if you imagine like an aircraft hangar, it's like a giant dome, and you've got doors on either side that you can open, and that'll then bring in a cross breeze. And it's love you're out in the bush, so it's fresh air, it's clean air. There's air conditioning, there's heating in the venue, whatever's needed. But the air quality in there is absolutely really, really good. And there's 14 warm up platforms. So
Excellent.
yeah, and a big area, like half the hall. And the warm-up area is like 50 meters by 50 meters. So it's huge. There's a training gym as well with 4 racks in it for those who want to train. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Great, great venue. But yeah, you're going to have to work hard to make some noise. Yeah. So Emma, from your side, is there anything you'd like to touch on or talk about or mention?
No, I think you've covered everything that I was sort of thinking that might come up. So yeah, I'm happy. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Have you had fun?
I have. Yeah. Thank you for
Yay!
having me. It's
Okay. I have to do this again. Are you ready? And I'm incredibly grateful for your time, for the time of the athletes that are coming on here and the coaches, because I know we're getting really close and the pressure's up. I've had a couple of people reach out to me and say, look, it's a bit close. Things are a bit chaotic. I said, fine, I'll talk to you in Sun City. I sold insurance for 15 years. I don't take no for an answer. So So we just want to wish you all the very best with the trip out, with the competition. We're looking forward to meeting you in Sun City, and you're going to lift like a champion because you are. You're going to have a blast there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Going to be awesome. So thank you so much for your time, and we will see you in Sun City.
Excellent.
Yes. One last thing. Lots and lots of suntan lotion. The African sun is warm, but you can burn a bit. I saw this
Okay.
with the guys who built the stage for the '95 Rolling Stones concert in Johannesburg. We warned them, mainly Kiwis and New Zealanders and a couple of Brits, and they didn't come back the next day. The guys training with their shirts off. You don't want to do that, but it's it's a blast. All right, lovely. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, ciao, ciao. Bye. Oh, that was absolutely phenomenal. That was Emma. I'm going to get this right again. Drackford. What an incredible story. What an inspiring story. And I can relate to not being able to do sports and participate and be included as a kid because of physical challenges and just coming back and becoming a champion. It's absolutely wonderful. Looking forward to meeting in Sun City. Looking forward to the noise competitions between the different Commonwealth countries. I think immediately it's Scotland, Northern Ireland, Ireland, and England. And Wales as well. Sorry, Wales, I did forget you. And I'm sure the Canadians are going to bring some noise as well. So, in the next 18 minutes, we'll be chatting to Josh Morgan. Stay with us. Please let us have your questions or comments live, and we'll share them with Josh and with all of our interviewees. You've been watching Coffee and Conversations with Champions, the powerlifting edition for Emmet Media. I'm Nicholas Single. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you in about 16, 17 minutes.